Hello, 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 hello. Is it a
Hey,
hello? And
it's a
thank you,
hello.
thank you so much once again, everyone, for tuning into the
The Mobility
Mobility
Bros.
Bros. I am Coach Cliff, and I had a wonderful holiday. We're coming right off the back of Memorial Day. Thank you so much to all that served to allow us to barbecue and connect
Absolutely.
with our friends and family.
Absolutely.
We are so grateful. But I am not alone. I am here with the one, the only Ron Hilton, the energy god. What's up, Ron? How are
What's
you?
going on? How we doing out there, social media world? Man, really glad to be on and have this interview. Don Butzner is the man. Uh, Meeting him and his backgrounds and accolades is just amazing. So yeah, man, I'm really excited and very humbled that he's on our show for today.
I am
Thanks for
so
having me, guys.
grateful. Thank you for being here. We're so grateful to
Yeah.
have you, Don. So grateful to have. I know Ron has a ton of things he wants to ask, but as you guys know, we talk about athletic mindset, mobility, pain reduction, and pain management, the thoughts and processes of practitioners, and the mindsets of our clients and members. And today we're going to be talking with our guest, Don Butzner. He has a list of accolades, uh, decades of experience at the highest level, at the Olympic level, certified uh, sports massage, certified kinesiology taping, sports stretching and active isolated stretching, muscle energy techniques, neuromuscular techniques, electronic pulse practitioner,
Electrons Plus.
Electronics.
Electrons Plus. That's what that's called.
Electrons Plus practitioner. We're going to get into
Yep.
all of that and more, and how that has helped ath Olympic athletes, moms and dads, kids that are pushing themselves, himself, and how he's gotten into the environment. We're going to get into him and Ron and how they met. So I'm going to sit back and let Ron, a good friend of Don, ask his questions and share. Ron, take it away.
Yeah, man. So Don, again, once again, really appreciate you being on the show and really looking forward to seeing you in July. I'm gonna give you a big freaking hug and I'm gonna lift you up and do one of these. It's taking you off your feet, you know.
That's
So
awesome.
so first question I want to ask is, what really inspired you to become a massage therapist?
I've always been really interested in human performance. I studied exercise physiology as an undergrad and was in chiropractic college for a little while. Wasn't quite clicking with me. Yeah, I was. But one of my classmates was a sports massage therapist and started talking with him about what he did as a sports massage therapist. And I was like, that sounds like the avenue that's really like what's pushing me and what I'm interested in. So kind of checked it out at one of the schools in Portland, Oregon, and it looked really great. Seemed to fit like what I was hoping to do with my career. And so, yeah, I just went there and rocketed through that and loved every minute of it and then got rolling with my career. So goal was to work with Olympic athletes, which has happened. And that's been great. What I've learned since then is that my real passion is with the weekend warriors and people just trying to get through their world at my clinic. And so I wouldn't give up my clinic to go do strictly sports massage stuff, even at the Olympic level. I'll still do that stuff, but kind of more on a part-time travel once in a while basis. But yeah, love helping people that have goals to keep moving and being the best they can be in just their regular world, helping them achieve that.
That's awesome. It's interesting that you say, we're about the chiropractic. So what I learned when I went out to the Olympic trials, which was so eye-opening, the chiros out there, the chiros I was meeting, they were doing a combination of actual soft tissue work, which blew my mind. No chiro on the East Coast is doing any of that. And it just, I like, when I saw that, I was like, what, where am I? Like
Right,
like the
right.
yeah, like a lot of like the neuro like responding and stuff. A lot of that stuff was just so interesting to me.
Yeah.
So they know
Yeah.
where
The
it's at.
chiropractors that work at this level really have a different approach than the ones that I've seen, and even what my experience in chiropractic college was. Although several of the best that I know came from the same chiropractic college, but they really are focused on the performance side of it, not just cracking joints, you know, making impressive YouTube videos because they got some cute girl on the table or whatever. They understand the nervous system. They understand how it incorporates, you know, human performance and how to get the most out of that. It's really been fun working with that level of chiropractor in these environments because we collaborate really well.
Absolutely.
They understand the work that we do and appreciate it. They communicate with us really well. We are a team, and they are just fantastic to work with, which you know got to see there for sure.
Absolutely. Even ATCs, I didn't even know what they even did until I went out west, which is insane. So that was still a good experience.
Yeah.
I have a question.
You were among the best in the country for sure. That group, you know, I've been doing elite level sports massage with Olympians for like 16 years. No, I guess it's 19 years. And I've met tons and tons of therapists and physicians and stuff. And that group that you were with, honestly, is the best I've ever seen in one setting.
Insane.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
That's so high accolades, man. That's a beautiful compliment. Don, I heard you saying that like you were going to chiropractic school, but it wasn't meeting what you envisioned for yourself.
Right.
And so what did you envision for yourself, and when did you have that vision? When did that start? Like, I want to take this track.
You know, I really loved studying human performance as an undergrad and working in the human performance lab at Oregon State, collaborating with the professors that were doing all this research, kind of trying to find any little thing they could to elevate human performance. So I knew then that was the route I wanted to take. I went to chiropractic college. I was chasing dollars. That's what I figured. I can make a ton of money being a chiropractor. But the focus there really was about just honestly, and this is no disrespect to the school. You can take it any way you choose as a physician, but it really felt like it was ambulance chasing that time. How do you get people through the door and coming back and whatever? And that wasn't what my passion was. And I now that I know what the realm of chiropractic really could be, maybe I didn't make the right choice leaving there, but you know, this has been very successful for me. Absolutely. But it seemed like the majority of it was really about what do you do in your office on a day-to-day to help people who've been hurt, just so you can build an insurance. And that wasn't my goal. And it clearly that's not all of chiropractic. It's some of it for sure. You see that quite a bit, but the sports end, the human performance end, that really was what was driving me. And yeah, just talking to this guy and my classmate in chiropractic college that was a sports therapist, that clicked. It was like, oh, that's where I want my hands. That's what I want to be doing. I want to be working with the muscles and nervous system in that manner. And so, yeah, it was at that point, it was like, oh, there it is. And I just knew and went for it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for the transparency in that. I think it's so important that people recognize that when you get into the industry, whether it's, you know, your highest level doctors and brain surgeons to chiropractors, and I say highest level, but, you know, we're all in this medical field to either prevent or to catch disease and to help people have a great life. There is the business of it, and the business of it sometimes takes over what really the importance of it is, which is creating impact in that one individual. It's not, you know,
I agree.
But gyms have it, you know, we have this circular door where, yeah, it's only going to cost you $10 and we'll serve you pizza and not teach you anything, but we're going to have 100,000 people spending $10 a day at our gym. It's crazy. So thank you for sharing that part of it.
Yeah.
But to me, just to acknowledge what you've been able to do, and hopefully we'll get into more of that. I don't think you made a bad choice, brother.
You did not.
I think you made an amazing choice.
Yeah. There are some limitations in scope of practice that I am frustrated about, but you know, that's how it is. But without a doubt, I am right where I belong.
Absolutely.
And just one more question, I'll get it back to you, Ron. You mentioned that the weekend warrior, the mom and dad, the CEO or the soccer kid, that's your passion now. It's not just, even though you've worked with people at the highest level and your clinic is providing that. One, what is the name of your clinic? We'd love to know and share that. Okay. And anyone in the comments who knows this guy's clinic, give us a thumbs up and put 100. You know, we want to know. We want to see the love. And second, just share with us, like, some stories about what you've been able to do and how you've been able to help change lives through that, through your practice.
Okay. So my clinic is called Willamette Therapeutic Massage. I'm located in Corvallis, Oregon, home of Oregon State University and the Beavers. Go Beavs. Boy, I've been in business for 23 years, and just from the get-go, started out on my own. I didn't go to work for anybody else. I just started the clinic, and I am a sole practitioner here, and no employees. It's just me doing my thing. But yeah, I tell you, I've had some really great experiences, all the way from being part of an Olympic gold medal team and world records. And in my clinic right now, I got a gal who was misdiagnosed with an issue, ended up with some anterior compartment syndrome, had some emergency surgery, didn't lose her leg, almost did, and has Parkinson's and some other neurological issues that she was about to the point of giving up. And I have seen her maybe 5 or 6 times, and we have her almost walking normally. She just last week was able to, when we were done with the session, she went to Home Depot and grabbed a shopping cart and shopped in Home Depot for the first time in 3 years that she's been able to get out and go shopping somewhere. And it's things like that with the tools that we have to just make someone's life, basically gave her life back, is how she's put it. She was crying at the end of that day. She was so happy. So that kind of stuff. I mean, how do you top that, right? Like that is the best right there. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, no amount of money in the world will have you feel that delayed gratification of finally feeling like they have the control of their nervous system again. They have the control of their body again. And with all the levels of complications, they had someone that they can trust.
Yeah.
Who cared for them as a human, not just their pockets. Or that's beautiful, man. Don is a beast.
Yeah. Human beings come first, man. I mean, the money's great, but it's like you really, one of my favorite sayings I always say to myself, how can I help and be of service to you today? Like that, I always make sure I say that everywhere I go. I got ended up with a contract at UConn here in Connecticut. And my supervisor, I was talking to her on Sunday. She stopped and she goes, you know what? That is like the best thing that I ever heard anyone say to a client, a patient, to an athlete. You always ask that, because it's about them. It's not about us. It's like, how can we help you? What is going on with you? How can we get you out of pain? How can we get you moving? And when you I really feel like if you forward your mind in that mindset, it really works through your body on how you're going to
100% agree.
A person.
100%.
Yeah. Versus like, I just know all these skills and I'm good. I'm just going to just throw my hands everywhere. I just kind of do it. You really gotta listen to what's going on and focus on what they need.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think that's really emphasized as much as it should be in these books. You learn about, stabilization, strength, power, or muscle connections, tissue connections, all these details. But the experience of dealing with humans changes how you experience humans, because you could have all this knowledge and have some poor person start doing burpees and blow their shoulder out just like that.
Yeah.
Because you didn't listen, you didn't understand, and you got to seek to understand. And it sounds like that's what you're doing, Don, at your practice. Could you share an amazing Olympic story? Like you said, gold medal team.
I know he was.
Go ahead.
You want to? I know. I'm like, I got questions lined up. It's so funny, Don. It's so funny because I'm like the more like lined up question guy, and he's like shoot at the hip. So I'm like, questions.
It works. It's a good combo.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, to his point, I know that you worked with Ashton Eaton and Brianne Eaton, which were very high level champion. You were part of the their lead therapist. How was that? How was that traveling with them?
Oh, those two are, well, first of all, they're tremendous athletes. Ashton, a lot of people would still argue has the title of world's greatest athlete. When I was traveling with him, he was ranked #1 in the world in decathlon. He was the defending Olympic gold medalist, world record holder. And with all that being said, he was a better person than athlete.
Love
So,
that.
I mean, that
Wow.
tells you something, because he was a phenomenal athlete, but he was beyond phenomenal as a person. He's just amazing. And his wife, Brianne Tyson Eaton, is no different. She, when we first started, was ranked number 2 in the world in heptathlon. She got up to number 1 in the world for quite a while we were traveling together.
Bronze medalist, right? In 20.
She, while I was traveling with her, she was a world champion, runner-up at world championships. She got the bronze at the Olympics when we were in Rio.
2016.
I believe she broke her national record for Canada. Yeah, she's a phenomenal athlete too. So it was really great being part of their team, because they are such great people. What was even more fun for me was working with their coach, Harry Mara, who is, when part of that traveling, he was Nike's coach of the year. And I think at one point he was even the IAAF, which is now World Athletics, like world coach of the year.
Wow.
So he is a brilliant man, a phenomenal coach. He's old school. So that was fun. And I was basically his roommate for 2 years. And, you know, he can be a crotchety old man, but he can also be really, really great. But I learned so much from him. It was incredible, because he's been doing this for so long that he knew stuff. But, you know, we would incorporate physicians and chiropractors, PTs, and other people, everything we could do to keep these 2 athletes at the top of their game. And Harry would just know right off the bat when something was wrong, like what it was that was wrong. The rest of us be like looking and doing all of our orthopedic tests and stuff. We'd be like, yeah, you're right. You know, he was brilliant. He was fun to work with. Yeah, I love that guy. I love the whole team. It was really an honor to be one of 4 people on that team, those 2 athletes and their coach.
It's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. I got to see the whole world. So that was fun.
That was awesome. How'd you get involved in the first place with USA Track and Field?
So about 2 years after I graduated from massage school, my muscle energy technique was kind of the foundation of the work that I did. And one of my classmates called up and said, hey, there's a guy in Eugene, which is like 40 miles down the road from me, who's teaching a muscle energy technique class. You want to go over this weekend? And so I went. And it turned out he was, at the time, Marion Jones's massage therapist. He was the guy, he was traveling to Olympics and doing some stuff with track and field. And of course, Eugene is Track Town, USA, right? So he was the one who was coordinating all the teams for the big events there. And I just got lucky that I landed in his class and pretty much knew everything he was already teaching. And he was like, hey, you got to come be part of this squad that works these events. And that got me in the door. And yeah, so I owe that to Chris Wetstein. He was the therapist, and I would say for quite a while was my mentor. He had a little some stuff happen that sort of knocked him out of the game a bit, but you know, he honestly is the most brilliant massage therapist I've ever met. He is really, really good. That guy can fix anything.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that it was sort of just a lucky moment. I don't know, maybe, you know, that's how things work, right? When you've got a mindset of where you want to be, it sort of sorts itself out if you really believe it. I believe that, and I think that's why I landed in Chris's office that day for those classes, and why it led where it led.
Yeah. Well, look, you know my story. I met Wild Bill on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and I got a phone call from Wild Bill that said, "Hey, you got to get this guy on the team for the Olympic trials." And so, you know, the listeners don't know, Wild Bill is the world's greatest massage therapist, self-anointed, but he
I was like, Wild
he's been
Bill.
doing this for, geez, what, like 60 years? He's been doing this forever.
Wow.
He's probably massaged more people than any of us combined. He's had tremendous success. He's worked with track and field stuff for his whole career. Everybody knows him. So when Wild Bill calls up and says, you got to give this guy a spot on the team, you got to give the guy a spot on the team. So there I went. And then I got to meet Ron, and he came and worked his ass off for us. It was fantastic. We really appreciated it. And that's why he keeps getting called back.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I love the touch of the mindset part. Wild Bill sounds like an extraordinary person, and your experience with that A team of super high level athletes sounds like something you'll take with yourself forever. The story of 2-year roommates, and Thank you so much for sharing that. That's
Yeah.
really grateful. Guys, we're getting some amazing content here, and I really appreciate everyone hearing what they're sharing. Um, what was if I can ask, what was something you saw during your time with the Olympics, or I know you're still with them, that you think could be improved, or something that just is missing that you would love to highlight or change? Is there something about whether it's the connecting with people, the team camps, the tents, the politics? You don't have to get too crazy in it, of course, but is there
Yeah.
something
Well, you
that, like,
nailed it. You
yeah,
nailed it with that. It's the politics of it. You know, people like us who are in it for the performance and the success, and you know, the all of that component of it, it's pretty frustrating when the politics of it get in the way. And you know, it to be quite frank, it gets in the way, you know, and it's unfortunate that there are some people at the top that are motivated by something other than the performance of their programs. You know, it whether it's their own ego, which we see a lot of at those higher levels from admin stuff,
I can
or
only imagine.
you know, just the numbers that the team puts up, not actually recognizing the athlete that's behind those numbers. I've seen a lot of that. You know, it's a frustrating thing. And we had moments where, because Ashton was kind of, you know, he was the team captain for USA track and field at the Olympics, and for the US Olympic Committee, he was like one of the main guys that they would focus on, you know, Michael Phelps and Ashton Eaton. And there were just a few people that were always the ones that were talked about. He had to use that to get, like, his coach and I didn't have access to him on his most important practice day at the Olympic Stadium before the start of his decathlon. And they weren't going to give us credentials to get in to be with him on that most important last warm-up day that he does. And we literally had to find a way to sneak into the Olympic Stadium. I mean, we're down in Rio pulling this crap that probably could have landed us in jail to get to him, because they want to give the credentials to their cousin who came over from somewhere to be at the Olympics or whatever. And that kind of crap happens. And so that's the frustrating part. And I would love it if the integrity level of that was higher. And that, I know saying all that stuff can get me in trouble, but that's the honest truth. That's really what my experience was. It's also why I don't spend a lot of time working for the national governing bodies of these things, because the politics really is disheartening.
Thank you for that openness, because
Yeah.
you see it, you don't know it, because we're sometimes people who are just watching it and rooting for USA. They don't understand the levels of complications that each human being has to take to get there, to travel, whether it's Rio or Beijing, and then there's tensions and like all the stuff that goes behind it. It can be really frustrating. So thank you for sharing that, because I know there's some beautiful moments, and probably way more beautiful moments than there are these frustrations, but there are these like intense moments of frustration that could be easily avoided if people's ego and significance didn't run their lives, and the titles of things didn't run their lives and cause that. And it's in everything. It's in your workplace at Johnson and Johnson. It's in your, you know, so sometimes that's why as solo entrepreneurs, like, my boss is my client. It's not, you know what I mean? And my team is me. And I have ownership of that. So I get it, and I appreciate that. Ron, do you have any more questions? You probably got more questions. I know,
man, dude. Listen, I told you I write everything down.
I told y'all he had questions. Write in the comments if you knew Ron had more questions.
Yeah. You know, so what are some of the things you're focused on for this year, or you know, in your career, like moving forward? You know, specifically in this year, what are some things you're mostly going to focus on, or that you're working on?
Yeah, you know, so we mentioned earlier this this tool that I have called Electrons Plus, and it's this really fantastic piece of equipment that is guided pulse electromagnetic frequency. So you guys have probably heard of pulse electromagnetic frequency. A lot of times it's like a mat that somebody lays on. It emits this electromagnetic frequency that is this field they lay in. Well, with this Electrons Plus, it's actually a hands-on I have my client on a conduction plate and I'm standing on a grounding mat, and where I touch them, we condense the energy right to the tissues that I want to focus on. And so it basically, this is a crude way of saying it, but it puts a better image in people's minds. It turns me into a human TENS unit. Except it's not the same type of energy as a TENS unit, which is the point of a TENS unit is to just activate the motor neuron, right? And get the muscle to twitch. And you can get a lot of great therapeutic benefits from that. With pulse electromagnetic energy and those frequencies, you're actually working at balancing the electrical charge of the cellular membrane. And so you put good cellular function back into proper balance. And you can decrease pain and decrease inflammation, jack up metabolism because ATP production goes through the roof, cut down recovery times for both injury and just training. But like with this gal that I mentioned earlier with Parkinson's and these other issues, this is really what's making the difference in her world and getting her nervous system back on board and getting her body to be aware of areas that were inhibited, to downtone areas that were overactivated in compensation patterns, and bring things back into balance so that health is in the tissues and function is working in the tissues. And so that focus, I've had this thing for about 4 years, but it's really, I'm in a place now where I'm really understanding what this thing can do. And so that's been my main focus, is just trying to incorporate this thing into ways that just make people's worlds, it blows their mind, and it creates something that they had lost a lot of times. So that's my big focus from stuff in my clinic, otherwise just continuing to help people the way that I have. And then from the sports end, as Ron knows, he'll be joining me. I'm going to coordinate the massage team for the USA Track and Field National Championships. That's from a local organizing committee standpoint. It's not the governing body. We were working with them. So that's coming up in July, and that'll be pretty fun. Also, because one of my OSU athletes is going to be there, and I'm super excited to see her compete. And then later in the year, I'll coordinate the massage team for the Prefontaine Classic, which super exciting this year is actually the Diamond League final, and that's never happened on Olympic soil. So that that's Olympic caliber, if not higher, for track and field stuff. Wow. So that'll be amazing. So, and I think also later in the year, I'll probably end up doing some stuff with Nike Hospitality at the championship game of the women's soccer professionally. So right now, those are the things that are on the radar, but we'll see what ultimately shakes out.
That's awesome. I do remember you mentioning it to me when I was at the trials with that what you're doing. I can't remember if you would, because I think I asked you what if there's a difference between that and PEMF, but it sounds like it's a huge difference between like the.
Well, it is PEMF. It's just the delivery system is different.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Strictly guided towards the tissues that we want to focus on, and so it's. I don't know if you would. It just jacks up the work in that area. Like it's a big field over whole body versus really focused in one concentrated area to make a big difference for that area. So the delivery is pretty spectacular. It's a brilliant tool.
That's awesome. I love using tools, and so I just did the rock blades basic, and I finished that up.
So you'll be bringing those with you.
I will, I will, man. And really excited. I'm still trying to get the hang of it. I think I'm like 3 weeks in, but I'm really working it, and it's been a huge help for my hands too. So,
yeah.
But yeah, definitely will be bringing those with me.
Yeah, I've got a lot of scraping tools. Use a lot of different ones.
It's fantastic. Just listening to what you're saying about the Electrons Plus work and you being grounded. And so if someone, just to our listeners also understand, so if someone say their left glute, their left butt cheek isn't firing, they're trying to squat and they're having knee pain and their left glute just is not firing, it's all going into their hip flexor, their lower back, let's say L4, L5, S1, S2, like piriformis issue, right? And it's shooting into their like MCL or ACL area versus their quad. This thing will help you not only target that left glute, but you could go like glute medius, You can go very detailed to see if you're getting any twitch, any response, any muscle activation. And then you can help neurologically connect through your peripheral nervous system that's the signals with this tool so that you start to see it firing and you can back off on the other side of the butt that's like overcompensating. You telling me with everything you're doing?
Yeah, you're exactly right. And so
That's
depending on
crazy.
what's really cool about this is that there's a wide range of frequencies we can utilize with this. And so there's lots of evidence that show certain frequencies do certain things. Like if somebody's coming in with inflammation, I will use a frequency of 40 hertz. And that has, in my clinic at least, and with a lot of evidence with microcurrent, that definitely has helped flush out inflammation. I use that for recovery for athletes.
Oh my God.
I can use a different pulse rate to activate inhibited system. I can use another one to downtone an overactive system and target right into those areas like you talk about. And what's really cool is like this stuff is penetrating the tissues without me having to push hard. So deep tissue massage leaves somebody inflamed.
Yes.
Not this. I can go deeper with this and I'm barely touching you and putting it right where I want it. And you walk out of there, you don't have the delayed onset soreness you would get for a couple of days. You just feel better and you get everything kind of reactivated back where it belongs. And what's even cooler is you talk about, you feel the muscle twitch or whatever. With this tool, this took me a while to really hone in, but like I'm not aiming for muscles most of the time. I'm aiming for the nervous system or some other tissues most of the time. Those aren't going to give me feedback with a twitch, right? Because they don't have the contractile component that's activated like that. But I can feel with my fingers the energy conduction changing. It bounces back at me when the tissues aren't healthy and it's more intense on me. And I work it and work it and work it. I find an area that's good and I work it over until I feel it sinking in and I know we've got it. And then I can have them like, okay, now fire that glute that wasn't firing. Bam.
Yo, what? Because I know what adhesions feel like. I've worked with so many different people. It's just like you feel that speed bump in their body. You're like, oh, and they're like, and then you feel it like crunch out. And it's like, phew. I'm sorry.
With this, you don't feel it crunch out. You feel it melt away.
That's just like so crazy.
It's like butter, like hot butter.
Gone. And then, the areas that weren't firing, you're like, okay, get in there and work it. And it's all of a sudden it's on. And you're just like, okay.
That's so cool. That's so
and then you send them away with their homework, right? Because the integration component happens after the work, right? That's on them outside the clinic. But if you give them good tools, then they can make that change.
Yes, and I'm usually the person they come to make sure their homework is accurate and efficient and that they're moving in the right way, that they're not creating any bad habits or we're destroying bad habits 1,000 times to create new habits 1,000 times.
Exactly.
It's amazing. That's really cool. It's like a superpower.
So awesome.
The talk in our little social media groups with that thing. That's how we all describe it. When I was first looking into it, I pulled up the list of practitioners. Very first name on the list was John Ball, who is one of the best chiropractors I've ever met. He's in Arizona. And I was like, wait, John Ball uses this thing. Like, what is this? And so I just texted him like, hey, I see you're on the list of practitioners. Tell me about this tool. And he texted back. He said, Don, if you can afford it, buy it. It will change your practice. That's all he said. And I'm like, done. I'm buying it.
Done.
Yeah, that's it.
And it did. It has changed my practice. My practice was already good, but now I'm doing things that my hands can't do, right? It's another tool to work with my hands to just take it to the next level.
And we're all electronic. We're all energy.
Exactly.
Energy can't be created or destroyed, but we can use it in ways to help people heal and give them their lives back. Don, you're doing amazing things on all levels, from helping people get to move and shop for the first time in 3 years to working with like A-list captains of the Olympic. What? Like you're a beast, bro. It's so I want to take this offline and talk to you so much more. It's, of course, respect your time, but build and all the things. And Ron, you know how you are. You're amazing. You got about a minute left before we wrap up. Ron, please, any finals you want to share with Don? And Don, please let us know if there's anything you want us to link in the description so our viewers and your viewers and everyone who sees this can get involved.
Yeah, I just appreciate you and just being on the show. This is an amazing interview.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me, guys. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're amazing. Everything that you need is going to be put in the description. Ron, feel free to take us away.
All right, I want you to stay awesome, keep stepping greatness, and be legendary. Have the most amazing day, and most legendary rest of your week.
Thank you guys so much for joining the Mobility Bros. Don, thank you so much for being here, brother.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Take care.